Hey guys, welcome to Rocket Punch. You know, whenever I bring up the topic of solo, there's always a lot of people say, oh, that's sad for those people because they have a limited imagination. Well, no. Solo doesn't mean you just play by yourself because you don't have friends. A lot of times, as a GM, you might have a lot of weird independent games like these. Grit Fantasy RPG. Into the Odd. The Dark Crystal. Robotech. The Macross Saga. Or even 2nd edition Vampire the Masquerade. And you just have a lot of whiny players who don't want to play those games with you. Well, by using solo, as a GM, you can kind of play these games by yourself. Why not? Don't let the party stop. I have live games. I have play on Discord games. I have play by post on Discord. And I have solo games. I do all 4 of the things. And each of them are special in their own way, and neither can replace another. Wait, does that make sense? Take every Sunday. I play all weekend with my buddies, but right before work, I want to play again just by myself. And those pesky players can't totally derail some idea I had, which is great fun, but sometimes you want to do things that you're thinking about. That's why on this channel, thanks to solo games, I can play Dragonbane or BX. Now the other problem is, how the heck do I even get into solo? Well, today, we're going to talk about it. And by the end, you're going to be able to play your own solo game. Even if you have buddies and pals and stuff. Still, it's great fun just living in your own imagination. So come on over to the table. Let's go. Hey guys, don't forget to rocket punch that like button. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to see more Rocket Punch craziness. Hey! Click on that bell to be notified of new episodes. Hey! Don't forget before you go to leave a comment below. Hey!
You know, there's a lot of people out there who poo-poo everybody's fun, especially picking on solo role players. And I'm here to defend them because just because you're playing solo doesn't mean, as I said, you don't have friends for live games. You don't have Discord friends for Discord live games. You don't have play-by-posts and all the things. I play all 4 types of role-playing games. And yes, at first, I didn't poo-poo on solos, but I was like, I don't want to write a novel. And still, that's cool too if that's your jam. There's a lot of different ways to enjoy solo. There's a lot of ways to enjoy table games and all the different types, play-by-posts. They're all different ways to enjoy the hobby. And each have their own unique fun part to them and their own weakness. And ignore the weakness and enjoy the fun part for what it is. So one of the great reasons you can play solo, especially if you're a GM, it gives you the opportunity to actually play the frickin' game. Another one is because a lot of times maybe your group's just not interested in playing some of these games. Maybe, they're boring and they just play that 5e crap and you're like, I want to play this OE stuff. Or, you got some classics like Robotech. You have Into the Odd, this weird steampunk strange thing. The Dark Crystal. This is very soloable, very exciting, fun to do, and a really great game with just a billion little tables and stuff. My little friend here, Grit Fantasy RPG. This thing is just loaded for solo, even though it doesn't have a solo mode in it. Other than Dragonbane, none of these have a solo mode in it. But any game is soloable. It's just how you do it. And what kind of solo you want to play. Do you like journaling? Do you like bullets? Or are you like me and just want to set up some Jenga blocks? Grab some kind of weird creature, throw him in a forest, obviously. You can't see it. And just get, your Conan the librarian and this elf chick and just have at it, Just roll some dice. Tell a story by yourself, like, and then he comes over here and he jumps at him. It's like playing with your toys, and then you just roll some chances. Oh, he totally biffed and did any damage, So that's how I like to play solo. I kind of like it as a way to kind of play with my toys, essentially. And instead of just I don't even really take any notes and I just talk to myself essentially. But with all the characters in my head, I got a whole bunch of friends to hang out with. And now you might be saying, okay, well, I'm willing to give this solo a try. And for that, I say, good job. Try anything. Don't poo-poo it until you try it. Didn't your parents ever say that? At least you gotta try that piece of broccoli before you go, ew, gross. No, you gotta eat it at least once or twice until you get used to it. Eventually, you're gonna love the taste of it, right? And the same with solo. After doing it for a while, you're gonna find what kind of solo game is good for you, what kind of solo you enjoy. And also another great reason for all you people out there, a great way to do solo, and I'm sure everybody's done this type of solo, whether you've played technically solo or not, is when you learn a new system. Don't you throw some minis down and like, how does this combat system work? Let me just roll some dice, figure some stuff out. But you probably just don't add any narrative to it maybe. So, you might be asking, how do I do that? How do I add the narrative? I don't even know how to start. Well, I'm going to show you with this awesome little one-page sheet that's going to do all the stuff for you. You don't need to buy a whole book and memorize stuff. No, this sheet has it all. And that sheet is, pow! The one-page Mythic Game Master Emulator. Now, Mythic is a very popular system to solo games. But for those of you just starting out, you might have seen that Mythic Game Master Emulator, the second edition, and just saw the size of that thing and been way too intimidated to even give it a look. It has all these rules and stuff, and while that is really cool, for a lot of us, we don't need that. But what we do need is to get this shiny thing off here. So let me take this out. This is annoying. Haha, better. And even more better. Let's take this down. Yes, the one-page Mythic Game Master Emulator is everything you need. It actually comes in a little PDF that I think has 6 pages or so, and it kind of explains it. But really, there's enough here to just throw that out. Sorry, that's kind of what I did. I don't read instructions. I just went right for the meat here. And it's pretty cheap. You can get it on DriveThru, I don't know, a couple bucks or whatever. So hardly an inconvenience, right? So maybe even simpler, you could just go by a simple D6 Oracle, where you're just like, 1 is no and, 2 is no, 3 is no but, 4 is yes but, 5 is yes, and 6 is yes and. Now that's perfectly fine, and I've done that a lot as well when I just want to do something simple. But if you want a little bit more than that, a little bit more options, especially when you want to add a little bit of the odds with it, because not everything is going to be weighted the same, I think this works out really well. So first, when you play solo, no matter what kind of solo you play, first thing you got to do is form some kind of question. It has to be a question that can be answered with a yes or no. Like, is the dead guard holding keys? Is that Valkyrie fighter fueled up and ready for takeoff? Is that a mace in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Yes and no's. Then you're going to assign odds. You're going to decide the odds of the answer being yes, 50-50 the odds are even and you don't know, likely, very likely, nearly certain, or certain if the odds are good, and unlikely, very unlikely, nearly impossible or impossible if the odds are bad. If you don't know, you're just going to keep it as the 50-50 or unknown. So that gives you like the best kind of spread, basic spread. But based on the narrative, it might be higher odds. So if someone you just slayed had a special key or something, you have no idea. But maybe if it's, a jailer, it's pretty likely that he's going to have a key on his belt. So you could roll up here and higher certainty, right? So your exemptional yes is going to be 1 to 18 yes rather than a 1 to 10. So you have a lot higher chance of finding it. So let's give it a shot. Does that guard we just killed have the keys to what we need? We roll that magic dice, and I always go my 10s, so it doesn't matter. My 10s and my 1s, this is my 1s. So 55. Oh, no, right? He does not have the keys. But as I just said, if he's the jailer, it's more likely he's going to have it. So we can go up a little bit further, like very likely, not even that high, right? And my no turns into a yes. Now, you're gonna choose the odds before you roll, but I'm just showing you that example. So what do you do with that? So once this game master answers yes, you're gonna follow your expectations. Yes, he had the keys to that. Now, if it was an exceptional yes, he might have keys and maybe he has a useful dagger or a map or some other thing that might be useful to your guys. No, you follow the expectation, and exceptional no. So he doesn't have the keys, and on the stairs right over there are more guards incoming. So you can see how you kind of play with that a little bit. And immediately we have that narrative very quickly. You found a new map, or now there's another confrontation. So it leads into the next scene. And that's why you want to use something like this. Now you also see I rolled a 55 in that sample. So in this case, I had, as we kind of changed it, right, because it made more sense for it to be very likely that the jailer had keys. And I rolled a 55. So when you roll a double number, then I get a random event. So some other cool thing is going to happen. So what could it be? And you can maybe think about it right off the top of your head. Or if you're not really sure, you might want to just roll on this random action table. So you get actions and descriptions. So we can roll on that. Whoop. What other thing? What other thing? Maybe I thought of the map right instantly, but maybe if I couldn't think of what was in there. So 14, character, okay. And 76, powerful character. Or you can flip it around. Sometimes I'll flip it if that doesn't hit me right off. It could be colorful, powerful, which doesn't make any sense. Or colorful NPC. Oh, I like that, colorful NPC. So maybe you break out, somehow you were able to get, maybe you smash that guard's skull right into the, the bars. Like you see on so many movies, he drops to the floor. You grab his keys, you open the cell, and right across from your cell is some kind of colorful NPC. Maybe he's a drunkard fighter or some kind of tattoo inscribed cackling mad mage, or maybe some powerful cleric of God who's giving his sermon to a mouse for some reason. Maybe he's going a little off the rocker, as most of my characters do. So now we found a helpful character. Or when that original character dies, now you have your backup. So that's always nice to have another NPC in the your back pocket for when somebody dies. So yeah, you never know. He's going to be useful, or he might be a backup character. So that worked out really well. I'm pretty shocked at that. Well, it always works out well, but I came up with that pretty quick. So right, you interpret the results. There's always other meanings, like if you're kind of stuck. You don't have to initially roll for this. You might just be stuck. Like, what do I do now? I got out of jail. Where is this jail? I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't made anything. With solo, you're just flexing your GM muscle, which is also really good. And you can carry that flexible GM muscle over to your live games because you'll be quicker when players just do something really weird. You can quickly, come up with a new idea. And you can actually use this in your live games. It's not just a solo tool, because if you just don't know and you're not railroading characters and you're just throwing them in a sandbox and they ask something weird, you can be like, I don't know, maybe the guard has keys or not. You can roll on this. Or I don't know, I didn't know they were going to go that way, so what am I supposed to do? Either that way, or what am I supposed to do as a solo? Well, now I can roll here and I can figure out where that story's maybe going to go by doing the same thing with actions and with descriptions. Again, you could roll multiple descriptions, multiple actions. There's nothing saying you can't. This is everything on the one page. That's all you need, and I think you should give it a try. I think all you naysayers out there need to give solo a try. As I said, it doesn't replace the table game. Nothing can. The table game is the table game. It cannot be replaced. But you can play different types of TTRPGs different ways and get different things out of it. Sometimes just GM practice with yourself, trying to get better at fighting, trying to get better at imagining something right off the top of your head with just looking at a die roll in 5 seconds. so you're not pausing the game whenever the players go off the rails, which they will immediately as soon as you start the game. They jumped off the rails. So now you have no excuses. Everybody, go pick up one-page Mythic Game Master Emulator. That's a mouthful. And get rolling today. And until next week, Rocket Punch! Later.
Join the Rocket Punch Dojo and be cool like these guys over here.